So at the moment, it's looking like people in the UK might not even be able to watch this rematch. Alright, so welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about KSI versus Logan Paul, the rematch, the second time round. And I, for one, am absolutely delighted that I'm no longer, for the time being, talking about James Charles and what he's wearing, and we're finally talking about something I'm genuinely really interested in. So for the purposes of the system, I'm going to call it a matchup instead of a... And if I talk about anyone losing consciousness, then that's exactly what I'm going to refer to it as. So I'm going to split this video up into two parts. We're going to have the first bit, which is about the matchup, and the second bit, which is about the money they're going to make from the matchup. And I have a few predictions, and then the conversation continues in the comments. So if you want to watch the second bit, then I'll leave a little timestamp in the comments. And if you want to watch the all, then you are an absolute hero of mine. So the rematch. It's been a long time coming. It has been a very long time coming. At one point this year, I didn't think this was even ever going to happen again. I thought they'd done it once, and I thought maybe they realised they both had a bit too much to lose and thought if they did lose consciousness on live TV or on a live streaming app in front of millions, they'd never be able to live it down and their career would go into somewhat of a downward spiral. Just a quick pause to announce that there will be a comment of the day in this video, and if you get the comment of the day, leave it in the comments and I will grant you hero status on the Wadey channel. But I was wrong. These two egotistical men, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but they both want to be the best. It is absolutely clear that they do. They can't let it go. They really want to make sure the other one does lose consciousness in front of millions of people. But with this event, there are so many differences compared to the last one. So the last event was at Manchester Arena, which holds around 20,000 people, but it's not got a massive history as far as like combat sports go. This time, the Staples Center in America. Now, if you're not down with your combat sports, this has got a very illustrious history in terms of combat sports. There's a lot of very famous and a lot of very big matchups, shall we say, have taken place here. So this is a real big step up. The Staples Center only holds the same amount roughly as what the Manchester Arena does, but as far as the history and what's actually happened here, that is pretty huge. Another thing, last time, Headgear. This time, no headgear, which makes the possibility of one of them losing consciousness, if that's what you want to see, a lot higher. You see, as you'll be aware, headgear has padding, which means it doesn't have quite as much of an effect as when there is no headgear. We have to take into account that these two people, these two lads, are big. They are. I think last time they weighed in at around something like 87, 89 kilograms, which off the top of my head, that's 13 and a half stone. We're not talking about two people who were 5'8" and 8 stone wet through. If they had a matchup all day, they would never make the other one even possibly lose consciousness. For these two, it's one punch. That is the potential. And when the headgear is removed, as it's going to be because it's a professional bout, that possibility increases tenfold. Now, last time out, it was an amateur boxing, and this time, as I've mentioned, it is a professional boxing match. They've both had to turn pro, and I think it's a lot easier to get your professional license in America compared to the UK. If this was taking place in the UK, it almost certainly would have been an amateur one again, because if you know who Rio Ferdinand is, he went to be a professional boxer, or to attempt to be, and he didn't even get his license because they didn't think he was good enough, or basically that. There are people on the undercard who are genuinely like world superstar boxers. There is rumours that Billy Joe Saunders, who I think is something like a super middleweight champion, don't count me on that one. It's not necessarily 100% true, but it's something like that. I'm more UFC than I am boxing, but I've got a basic knowledge. So I'll go now into a bit of a preview of the matchup or what I think might happen, and then we can discuss that in the comments, then we'll move on to the money, and then we'll move on to why people in the UK might not even be able to watch it. So the last time out, Logan Paul came out of the blocks like he knew what he was doing. He looked a half decent boxer, and I'm not saying that with any disrespect to anybody, but he looked far better than I thought he would. Now going in, we knew that he was big. He's far bigger than KSI. The weights was kind of similar. I'm not entirely sure why I did that. Maybe to try and stop him, like, I'm not sure if I'm going to say this word, so maybe stop him tiring himself out, because the more musculature, if that's even a word, the bigger percentage of muscle you've got, the easier it is to get tired because you need more blood to pump the muscles. That was the worst explanation ever, but I hope you kind of got the gist. So a bigger, more muscular man is generally more powerful, but can't go for as long as someone who is less muscular, who can go for longer. But one important thing is it is again going to be 6 rounds. Now, if it was 12 rounds, that would change things entirely, because Logan Paul is not going 12 rounds anytime soon. He's just too big. The amount of muscle he's got is it's not exactly perfect for boxing. Now you're going to point me, I know most of you are going to point me in the direction of anti-Joshua, but he himself does sometimes tire quite quickly. The people who don't tire quickly, like for example Andy Ruiz, who actually beat Joshua, he looks like he should not be a boxer. He looks like you might see him down the pub, but you don't necessarily need loads of muscle for boxing. It's a bit of a weird one. You can't really judge boxing ability by the eye. But I expect this time, I expect Logan Paul to come in. I think he might come in heavier. I think last time he made a bit of a mistake because with KSI you're not going to match him in terms of cardio. The cardio and the engine that he's got, I don't think Logan Paul is going to match him. So when last time he tried to match him and tried to make sure that he could try and go 6 rounds, he still failed. He needs to, in my opinion, take the most out of his strengths, which is power, size. He is far bigger. He's a good 2-3 inches taller. He's naturally a good 1-2 stone heavier. He needs to take all that advantage, lean on him, just basically a bit of dirty boxing, and I think that would make him win the fight. There is a reason that there are weight classes in boxing. Now, because it's a professional bout, I'm sure they will maybe and probably and presumably have a weight limit. Because if they didn't have a weight limit last time, so I'm not entirely sure why Logan Paul came in so light. Again, probably try and combat the cardio of KSI. I think if he just comes in heavier, I think he's got a real chance. Obviously there needs to be work on the cardio, there needs to be real work on that, because last time he started out like a train on fire. That's not even a word, but he started out unbelievably the first 3 rounds, and then towards the end of the 3rd round, 4, 5 and 6, to start out that well in the first 2, to start to lose it in the 3rd, and then pretty much, in most people's opinion, maybe even lose the fight. There's obviously a real big issue there. Like I said before, we're not talking about 12 rounds, we're talking about 6. It's incredibly hard, even 1 round of boxing. But they're now professionals. As far as KSI goes, I think it's going to be more of the same. They've seen what Logan Paul does. KSI looked poor in those first 2 rounds. He did. There's no real getting away from that. He'll try and fix those issues. And you know what? I think he's probably technically not as good of a boxer as Logan Paul is. But as far as a bit of a scrapper, shall we say, I think he's far better. Technically, Logan is better. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's technically better. KSI's technique does leave a lot to be desired at times, but it somehow works. In this environment where he's against someone that's not a professional, that can't just pick him off from distance, he's got a chance. If Logan can make sure he doesn't tire, I think there's only real one winner, but I don't think he will be able to make sure that he cannot tire. Another thing we need to mention is the commentators, because you'll be aware that True Geordie and Lawrence McKenna did in fact commentate last time. Now, True Geordie's had a bit of controversy over the last few weeks, but I don't think that's going to stop him. I don't think it's really been confirmed at the moment who is commentating. You know, the Mike guy from the Logan Paul podcast, he said that he would have loved to commentate, but he'd rather be in Logan Paul's corner, and he thought that True Geordie did such a good job last time. Now Lawrence and True Geordie tend to go hand in hand, and Lawrence was clearly not as good as True Geordie last time, because his knowledge just clearly wasn't there, calling it like a backhand shot or something. It was a little bizarre, but those two really do work well together, and with a little bit of knowledge on the side of Lawrence, I think they'll make a really good job of it again. And also, last thing on the matchup, this is obviously in foreign territory. There will be it will be a very different event for KSI. Last time everybody was on his side. This time, not so much. Last time Logan was the villain, and this time he's very much the hero sort of thing. Now KSI doesn't strike me as someone who will really be bothered by this. He strikes me as someone that will probably love it. So I don't think that's going to be a massive issue, apart from maybe the scorecards. There's a lot of things going around in boxing where, I don't know, it's a bit corrupt sometimes, shall we say. But I don't think that's going to have an issue in a matchup like this. And on the last thing, you might not see any other YouTubers there. Because it's a professional bout, all the undercard, apparently, from what I've read and what I've researched, has to be professionals actually competing. So I mentioned Billy Joe Saunders, who is, I think that's pretty much confirmed. I wouldn't even be surprised if Vidal was there, but considering KSI is going to be obviously competing and he's going to be in his corner, I doubt that. But it would be a nice matchup between YouTube and the boxing world, because the boxing world aren't very happy about 2 YouTubers headlining a card where an elite athlete in Billy Joe Saunders is on the undercard, and it's not going to be as respected, if you know what I mean. Another good example would be Tommy Fury, who was obviously on Love Island. It would bring a nice matchup between the YouTube social media scene and the professional boxing scene, and that would all work really well, but it's probably a bit short notice, considering he's probably making tens of thousands of pounds a week from PA appearances. That's probably not going to happen. But yeah, we would be unfortunate if we couldn't see people like Anderson Gabe, or just people who fought before, because that, I mean, it was really entertaining. That's what it started out as, and that it wasn't just for the main event, it was for everybody that was on the card as well. So that would be upsetting, and I hope they can somehow find a way around that. But anyway, onto the money, onto the sponsorships, and onto how much they're gonna make, because I've had a little breakdown of it all. So if you've come for this point, then hello. You should go and watch the last bit, because it was very entertaining, hopefully. And if you've watched all the way through, you absolute legends. So I've got some notes down on my phone, so I'll probably do a bit of reading from here. I hope that's okay. If not, I can't really do anything about it. So as I mentioned last time, 21,000 for the Staples Centre and Manchester Arena. So the people that are actually going there, they're not going to make massively more in terms of ticket sales. So last time, the tickets went from £30 to £150, with VIP being £495. In dollars, I imagine this time it's going to be very, very similar. They sold out last time, I think, from memory. They're going to do the same again. It might be, I don't know, 20% more, but generally the ticket sales and what they're going to earn is not going to be wildly different. I mean, at the end of the day, the money they earn from ticket sales is nothing compared to sponsorships and compared to brand deals and compared to what they're going to earn from the streaming rights and everything else, because Matchroom Boxing's getting involved, as I think I've mentioned, which is a huge, like the biggest, probably, I imagine, biggest like boxing promoter that there is. So those figures, if it's a similar price, that adds up to 1.26 million. So we can just keep that in your mind, write it down if you want to, and we'll move on to the next thing. So onto the streaming sales. There were 800,000 people who actually watched and actually bought the stream, and 1.2 million concurrent viewers on Twitch who decided they would watch it for free. Now this time I imagine security will be far better, but if we go on these numbers, they basically made $8 million, because it was $10 for the stream in the US, and I think it was effectively the same. I think the exchange rate was around £7.50, I think it was something like that in the UK. So they made roughly $8 million from the stream, and they lost roughly $12 million. So they lost like more than they earn. If we put those two figures together, they lost 60% of their earnings. 20 million potential from streaming, and they made 8. Now obviously all those people that watched on Twitch aren't going to go and buy it because they're just not. And do you know what? There are going to be ways to watch the stream for free. I'm not going to go into it in this video, but there are plenty of other sites that I'm sure you will find the stream if you really want to, because no matter how much people are going to do it, you're not going to stop everyone. If they can't stop everyone for an Anthony Joshua matchup, or they can't stop everybody for like worldwide football games, you're not going to stop someone for KSI and Logan Paul, despite how much money they would and are going to lose out on. Now, I'm sure Twitch will have had a very big telling off, and that will never happen again. That will not happen in this event. If you plan on watching through Twitch, you are sadly mistaken. You might get someone up for like a minute watching it, but you're not going to get 1.2 million people watching it at the same time, watching the entire thing, because Twitch seemed to just let it happen last time. And if that happened this time, the lawsuit would be monumental. Now, I've seen a lot of rumours, I've done a lot of research of what they earned last time, and people, I mean, it was just wild guesses. Now, what I've got wrote down here is the sponsorships and everything included estimated roughly 30 to 40 million each last time, but I doubt it was anywhere near that. That is 30 to 40 million dollars each, by the way, so that's probably like, if we assume $30 million, that's like 24 million pounds for those in the UK. In my opinion, I think the figure was probably half of that. I don't know the ins and the outs, but I know sort of what someone might sponsor somebody for, given the profile and given the stage that they've got. So I would imagine roughly, if we go along the base of 10 million each, I think that would be probably nearer to it. But now, with everything that's been involved, now the sponsorships, and it's being promoted by Matchroom Boxing, and more people are going to watch it. They just are. It's a rematch. People watch rematches more, and especially given that it was a draw the first time round, there's a lot of money to be made. There is. I would imagine, again, 10 to 15, maybe even push it up to 20 million each, considering what's involved this time. And I mean, that is just a lot of money, and that is why they're willing to do it without head guards. They're willing to face, well, just being laughed at, really, if they are, in fact, losing consciousness in the ring. So why you might not be able to watch it in the UK? Well, it is apparently going to be streamed by, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce this, but it's like DAZN. I'm not sure if it's all pronounced as one word, as DAZN, or if it's just an acronym, or DAZN, not sure. But basically, you can't stream that in the UK. You can stream it in the US, Spain, Canada, Italy, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Brazil, and Japan. So if you're in any of those countries, you're absolutely fine, but you can't do it here. Now, I know there are things called a VPN. If you want to sponsor me, NordVPN, or what the other one is that Mimulus always sponsored by, if you want to sponsor me, then you can do. That would be excellent. If you get a VPN, you can probably get around that issue. Now, I'm sure they will cater to the UK audience. They will find some way to get around it, but at the moment, at present, people in the UK like me, we're not going to be able to watch it. by paying for it anyway. As I said, I'm sure they'll sort that out. So I guess we now move on to the predictions. I think KSI will win. I think KSI will win. I think Logan will be stopped on his feet. I don't think either will lose consciousness, like, fully, because of these reasons. KSI to me is more determined. KSI has better cardio, and KSI punches harder. According to, what's the guy, the big muscular guy, what's he called? I can't remember what his name is. He's a big, like, bodybuilder guy. I can't remember his name, but before the last matchup, they basically had, like, a test to see which one harder. And he said it was KSI, despite him weighing, like, a good few pounds less, which is quite surprising. It's all down to technique. And with KSI, I've not mentioned this, he's actually going to be training at the Mayweather gym, which is where Vidal trains. Technique will almost certainly improve as well, because that is the thing what lets KSI down. He does sometimes swing like a windmill. I can't comment because I've never done it, and I don't ever plan on, I don't want to ever do it. But just as a viewer, like, Logan Paul's technique is far better, and he looks far more competent. As I've mentioned before, KSI's his attitude and his mentality of never ever giving up and always just going for it, I'm not entirely sure whether Logan's got that. Now, before the last one, we talked about Logan having a wrestling background and basically just being a natural athlete, whereas KSI it's not a natural athlete, but he got himself in unbelievable shape. Make no mistake, if this was in an octagon, shall we say, Logan Paul would win 100%. With a background in wrestling, which is basically one of the major components of MMA, KSI he wouldn't win. He just wouldn't. It would literally be an impossibility. But it's not. It's in a boxing ring. And so, it's pretty much an even matchup. We've got someone who is stronger, bigger, more muscular, and got a better technique. Just a better boxer. Or he was last time out anyway. And on the other side, we've got someone who has got the heart of a lion, who will never give up, has unbelievable cardio and stamina, and I think will win. Stop Logan Paul on the feet. I think he'll win. So that's been my roundup. I hope you've enjoyed. If you want to follow me on social media, it is at WadeyTC on Instagram and Twitter. If this does well and gets some views and people like it, then I'll make another one and we'll make more as we lead up to it, because what day are we on? We're around 2 months away. We're around 8 weeks away, which is not a long time at all to be training. I think they've been training for a few weeks now. So the comment of the day is ball. Yes, that is the comment of the day. The comment of the day is ball. So if you want to follow me on social media, it's at WadeyTC on Instagram and on Twitter at WadeyTC. But I hope you've enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.